Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I create beautiful fluid roses in watercolor. So roses are made up of these circles of petals just pretty much encapped around each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the middle petal and then I'm going to draw these beautiful petals around it. So I'm using a wet to wet technique on textured watercolor paper in cold press, and I'm pretty much just putting down a little bit of water in the direction that I want the roses to flow. So what I'm going to do is use a brush with a little bit of an angle on it so I can use it on its tip and on its side. And I'm starting with the middle petal and I'm drawing these semicircles around the petals. So you can see that the water that I put down first is taking the inks outside. So you don't have to even create those petals that are kind of flowing outwards. The water is pretty much going to do that for you. And every rose drawing is going to look different. I've never done a rose drawing that looks exactly like the first one because that's the beauty of watercolor. It just kind of does what it wants to do. So you can see that as I'm going on the outer petals, the strokes are getting larger and looser. So just like if you're looking at a rose, the petals on the outside are kind of starting to sprout out. So you want to make sure those are a little bit larger. Okay, so what I'm doing now while the petal paint is still wet, I'm going to start drawing the stem. And I want to do that while it's still wet because I want that green color that I'm going to put onto the stem to mix really well with this magenta color. Okay, as I go down further on the stem, I'm going to put a little bit of magenta on this leaf. You might not ever see a magenta or pink colored leaf, but again, that's the beauty of watercolors. You're just creating a world that's imaginative, very whimsical, very dreamy. It doesn't have to be verbatim. Okay, so for the next rose, I'm going to paint it as it's laying on the side. So you can see that I just put this blob of watercolor down, and I'll show you how you can create a little bit of definition when you just get a blob of watercolor. That wasn't intentional, but I will show you how to fix it. Okay, so I'm just creating a little bit of the silhouette of the petals at the very tip of the rose. And again, creating a few lines for the petals as I'm going outwards. Okay, so just like the first rose, I'm taking my watercolor. I'm sorry, not my watercolor. I'm taking my water on my brush and I'm drawing the water downwards and allowing the ink from the rose to go down so I can mix this green with it. And for this one, I'm going to put a little bit of yellow ink into this green color. I think it'll just look really beautiful and bring it to life. And sometimes you probably have bought roses and you can see that the stem is like a yellow. It's a gradient of yellow to like a lime green to a dark green color. And again, guys, with fluid watercolor paintings, you're not aiming for perfection. You're just really letting the water colors create this beautiful painting for you pretty much. Okay, so I'm going to go to the third flower, and if you can see this little rose in the left corner, it's a little spread out. So it's as if, you know, when you buy roses and the outer petals start to sprout out as they start to get older, and then eventually they shrivel up. But I'm going to paint that rose as if it's starting to bloom out. So it's not going to be that tight. So what I'm going to use for this is my Japanese brush made out of goat hair. The bristles are very coarse, very spread out, so it's going to create that really like beautiful bloomed effect. And I apologize if you can't see the bottom of this rose, but I will move the camera down in just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so the same way, I'm just mixing this green color with our magenta colors. And guys, if you want to get different gradients of green, you don't have to buy different colors of green. Just mix a little bit of brown with your green, or mix a little bit of yellow with your green to lighten it up. Okay, so now I'm just creating a few petals as if they're laying down, spread it out. These are the two inks that I use. I will definitely leave the links below where you can purchase these inks and test them out. Okay, so to create a little bit more definition for these petals, I am mixing the two inks that I just showed you together. So the first one is in a crimson color and the second one is in purple. And they're by Dr. P.H. Martin and Winsor and Newton. So what I'm doing is I'm just going around the outside perimeters of each flower with this mixture to create more definition and to make it look a little bit more 3D. And I'm doing this really quickly because I'm going to put water on it so that it blends out. So you can see that the water is kind of taking it out. Okay guys, and that is the finished look on watercolor roses. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you try to follow my instructions on creating watercolor roses. I would love to see them. I will see you on the next video, and please subscribe below. Ciao.